So President Biden continues to play the blame game over inflation and the nation's overall economic outlook. But the president is now openly talking about other concerning numbers, like his age. Let's bring in tonight's political panel, former New York State Senator, Democratic strategist David Carlucci, and former chairman of the House Oversight Committee, Fox News contributor Jason Chaffetz. Gentlemen, welcome to you both. Jason, to you first. I keep looking at the president's approval numbers, and they're going back down, right? But he continues this blame game. I mean, it started back in Afghanistan. It was the general's fault, and then it's Putin's price hike, and you name it. It's always the same. It's clear that people aren't buying it, even a lot of members of his own party. Why is he not holding a little more accountability in this instead of now blaming the MAGA Republicans?
Oh, it's not a good look, Trace. And look, the Democrats have the House, the Senate, and the presidency. They could try to blame Donald Trump or somebody else along the way, but they've had the reins for a couple of years now. And every stat you're looking at that people actually care about is moving in the wrong direction. And so it's not a good look. It doesn't win elections. And there's a reason why Joe Biden is not on the campaign trail, why Nancy Pelosi is in Croatia, and they don't have any leadership that can go out and make the case.
If you were advising the president, David, would you do the same thing? Would you say, listen, you blame everybody else, you don't take any accountability, and eventually people are going to start believing you? Why now blame the economy or saying that the MAGAs are going to sink the economy?
Well, this isn't about blame. It's about drawing a contrast and making that distinct picture between Republicans and Democrats and what's at stake in 2 weeks from now. And President Biden has been clear. Look, the deficit has gone down under his leadership. It went up under President Trump. He's been able to cap the costs of drugs that Medicare recipients will have to pay, capping the cost of insulin, investing the biggest investment in our environment in the history of our government. And so he's had success after success,
David,
and is painting that picture.
I want to give you credit and I want to give you time, but a lot of that stuff is just not true. People are worried about inflation. And, you know, the Democrats keep saying, oh, the Republicans under President Trump, it was worse. I want to read this to you. This is back from the Wall Street Journal. Jason Riley wrote this about 8 months ago, quoting here, between 2017 and 2019, median household incomes by 15.4% among blacks. It went up, and only 11.5% among whites. The investment bank Goldman Sachs released a paper in March of 2019 that showed pay for those at the lower end of the wage distribution rising at nearly double the rate of pay for those at the other end. It's well documented. Until the pandemic hit, people at the lower ends of the spectrum were doing much better under Trump than they are doing right now. I'll give you a few more seconds on this, David.
Well, we're in a recession. We see that. It's a global issue of inflation, and actually the United States is doing better than most countries. There's no question there are issues and there are problems. But President Biden has put his best foot forward and has actually gotten results. And now that we get close to Election Day, it's about painting that picture and showing the contrast. And yes, we can debate, but facts are facts. The deficit has gone down under Biden. It went up under Trump.
Inflation has gone up, and prices have gone up. And energy costs have gone up, and everything else has gone up, and people's paychecks have gone up about 4%, about half. They're still about 4% underwater. I want to move on if I can, because the interview that the president did with MSNBC talking about his age, it kind of struck me. I'm going to play the soundbite, and I'll get your response on the other side, Jason.
I think it's a legitimate thing to be concerned about anyone's age, including mine. I think that's totally legitimate. I'm a great respecter of fate. I could get a disease tomorrow. I could, drop dead tomorrow. But in terms of my energy level, in terms of how much I'm able to do, I think people should look and say, does he still have the same passion for what he's doing?
And what would the answer be, Jason? Because it seems to me like he's kind of laying the groundwork for maybe not running in 2024.
Well, I don't think it's so much his age as his lack of cognitive capabilities. They are obviously declining on a daily basis. We listen to all these gaffes. He almost falls asleep. All these reports coming out of the White House that he spends just a couple hours a day trying to get through, what he's doing in the Oval Office. And there's a reason why he has endorsed less than 10 people going into a pivotal election. Nobody wants to be seen with him because often they go out and do that. He doesn't even remember their name. He just called Vice President Kamala Harris the president. I mean, it's really quite embarrassing at this point.
Yeah, I want to play this last thing, David. I want to get your opinion. This is the Monmouth poll. This is Biden and the attention to issues that are important to your family. Giving them enough attention, and 31% say, yes, he is. Wish he'd give more attention, 63%. 63% is a big number. Your final thoughts on this, David?
Well, these polls have been up and down as we've all been following. The Republicans have been leading, then the Democrats, now the Republicans. This gives the Democrats an opportunity 2 weeks in to really focus on those issues, to talk about the economy, to paint that contrast between the Republicans and Democrats and make sure that the American public knows what's at stake. So these final 2 weeks, don't count the Democrats out.
Okay. Jason, I got 5 seconds for you. Are you counted out?
Yeah. What is the president's plan to fight inflation? Nobody can name it. Nobody can tell you what it is.
Yeah. Jason, David, gentlemen, thank you both.